Hello guys, welcome again to ITS, Information Technology Skills. On this video, we're going to learn how to create a data flow diagram and what are the uses of data flow diagram. So, we're going to use Taglish dito sa version na to for our Filipino viewers. Okay, so let's start. So, let's have first the definition of a data flow diagram. Data flow diagram or DFD is a traditional visual representation of information flows within a system. It shows how the data enters, leaves the system, what changes the information, and where the data is stored. So, dito mamaya makikita natin kung saan natin pwedeng kunin yung isang data, then saan siya pupunta. So, we have different symbols in creating data flow diagram. First symbol is the data flow. So, data flow guys, we use as arrow for that. Okay, so pwedeng arrow papuntang right, pwedeng arrow papuntang left, up, or down. So, what is the use of this data flow? It shows the flow of data into or out the process, entity, or data store. So, basically, siya yung nagpapakita kung yung data ba is palabas or paalis sa isang process, entity, or data store. So, what are these process, entity, or data store? So, in process naman guys, it uses this symbol. So, dito guys, we're going to use the symbol introduced by Gain and Sarson. Kaya po ganito po yung symbol natin for the process. But others uses a circle for the process. Okay, so ano nga ba ang gamit nitong process na to? It performs some action on the data such as create, modify, store, view, delete, and others. So, kung titingnan natin, yung mga processes natin are in verb form. So, wag natin kakalimutan that when we are creating or using a process dun sa data flow diagram natin, dapat po verb yung nilalagay natin dun. Then next, we have the external entity. This external entity uses this symbol. Ito po yung rectangle or square na symbol dun sa DFD. So, itong external entity na to shows the origin or destination of data. It is also called as source or sink. So, bakit nga ba siya tinawag na source or sink? Source kasi pwede siyang maging origin or source of data. Sink kasi pwedeng siya yung mag-receive ng data. Then lastly, we have the data store. From the word data and store, of course, dito po natin ini-store yung data. Data store uses this symbol. Okay, so para siyang rectangle na merong open dito. Okay, so as I said kanina, it is where the data is being stored. It can be a database, a file, or a file cabinet. So when we are creating the DFD, we have these rules na we need to follow. Process labels should be in verb phrase. So tulad nga kanina, kung maalala nyo, yung process natin are the actions such as add, edit, update, delete, modify. Those are verbs. Yun po yung mga ilalagay natin dun sa processes natin. So, later makikita natin or we're going to have an example of DFD. The no process can have only outputs or only inputs. So, ano nga ba example nito? So, let's say meron ka nung process mo. Itong process mo na to, meron lang siyang output. Wala siyang input. Okay? Makikita nyo, walang input. So, this is an example of wrong process. Okay? Another, kung yung process mo meron lang siyang inputs, wala siyang output. This is also an example of wrong process. So, paano nga ba natin ayusin yun? Dapat yung process mo, at least meron siyang isang input or inputs, depende po dun sa mga mailalagay dun sa process, and at least have one output. So, pwedeng output or outputs, 2 or more. Okay? Next, data store and entity labels should be in noun phase. So, dapat noun naman yung mga nakalagay daw dun sa data store or sa entity. So, pag sinabi kasi natin data store, dun dapat naka-store yung isang data. It's a filing cabinet. Anong tawag natin dun sa filing cabinet na yon or the database? Pag sinabi naman nating entity, these are objects or persons kung saan nagre-receive or nagbibigay ng data dun sa process. All flows to or from a data store must move through a process. So, paano nga ba tong rule na to? So, let's say meron kang entity and magbibigay siya ng data to another entity. This is wrong. So, hindi po yan pwede na yung isang entity diretsong magbibigay ng data dun sa isa pang entity. Or a person directly give a data to another person. Hindi po yun pwede. Then next, yung database directly gives a data to another database. This is also wrong. Aside from that, an entity gives a data dun sa isang database, or vice versa. A database gives a data to an entity or a person. This is also wrong. So, how do we fix this? Dapat daw, it must move through a process. Ibig sabihin, dapat mayroong process dun sa gitna nila. So, paano mo na ibigay yung data dun sa isang entity? So, ganun yun. So, let's say dito sa entity, let's say we have entity 1, another person gives a data to another person, dapat dumaan siya sa isang process. Then this process transfers the data to that entity. Same with the database, it must move through a process. Then this process transfers the data to the database. Or an entity gives data to a database, it also pass through a process. Tapos tsaka lang siya masasave sa database. Or vice versa, yung database magbibigay ng data kay entity, dadaan pa rin siya sa process, tsaka lang mapupunta yun kay entity. Then next, we have also this rule, data flow labels should be in noun phase. Dapat noun din dapat yung mga nakalagay dun na data. And bidirectional flow between a process and data store is represented by two separate arrow. Let's say, meron kang entity, pwede siyang magbigay or mag-input and pwede siyang mag-receive ng output from a process. So, let's say kung ganon, bawal mo pong gamitin yung double-headed arrow. Bawal po ang ganitong arrow. So, anong dapat mong gawin? Dapat i-separate mo yun sa magkaibang arrow. So, this entity, pag magbibigay siya or it gives input to the process, dapat yung arrow papunta sa process. Once it receives output from the process, dapat yung arrow natin papunta naman siya kay entity. So, ganun lang po siya, guys. So, now let's try to create a data flow diagram for student enrollment system. But before you can create a data flow diagram, let's have first the context diagram of this system. So, meron na rin akong separate video on how to create a context diagram. I'll be placing the link down below or dyan sa taas ng screen nyo para mapanood nyo rin or alam nyo rin kung paano gumawa ng context diagram. So, in context diagram, meron tayong isang process. So, circle na lang nilagay ko dito. So, here, makikita natin yung title ng system. So, meron tayong student enrollment system. Let's say, dalawang entity ang meron sa student enrollment system. Si registrar na maglalagay ng course and subject dun sa system. And this course and subject can be viewed by the student. Kasi syempre, para alam ni student kung anong i-enroll niya na course and subjects. So, after makita ni student yung mga course and subject na pwede niyang i-enroll, ibibigay niya yung student information niya or i-input niya yung student information niya dun sa system, which is student enrollment system. And this system provides list of enrolled students kay registrar. So, this is the context diagram. So, bakit kailangan natin gawin si context diagram? Basically, context diagram is the level 0 ni DFD. So, once that we break down kung ano yung mga process dito sa student enrollment system natin, saka tayo nagkakaroon ng tinatawag nating levels of DFD. So, of course, ang next level kay level 0, which is the context diagram, is the level 1. Now, guys, let's try to create the level 1 DFD ng student enrollment system natin. Reminder lang, guys, that it may applicable to you or may not applicable to you. Kasi ang gagamitin ko lang dito na entity are the registrar and student. Kung sa inyo, meron kayong kasamang entity ng cashier, wala po kasi dito sa example natin na to. Okay? So, now, let's start. So, sabi natin kanina, si registrar, magbibigay siya ng course and subject dun sa system. So, ngayon, si registrar, mag-i-input siya ng subject. Before ma-save tong subject na to, dadaan siya sa isang process. So, let's say, yung process na yun is manage subject. So, meron tayo ditong process number. Para alam lang natin kung, i-breakdown natin soon, yung process, alam natin kung anong process yung breakdown natin. Kung breakdown natin to later on into level 2, magkakaroon tayo ng 1.1, 1.2, and so on. So, after ma-manage or ma-process dito si subjects, of course, ma-store siya kay subject database. So, same with the course, mag-i-input ng course si registrar, dadaan ulit siya sa isang process, tawagin na lang natin siyang manage course, and masisave din tong mga courses na to into a database. So, sabihan na lang natin course database yung pinag-storean or pinag-savean nung courses. Okay? So, once na meron na tayong mga course and subject, pwede nang mag-enroll si student. Ngayon, si student, para makapag-enroll siya, of course, he need to provide the student information. Pwedeng yung pangalan niya, the student ID, and other information na pwedeng i-provide ni student. So, let's say dadaan yun sa isang process na manage student. This student information will be placed on a database called student database. Of course, mache-check dito yung mga details ni student. Kung ano yung current year level niya, kung ano yung natapos niya na subjects, and others. From the course database, pupunta din yun sa process natin na manage student. Same with the list of subjects na pwedeng i-enroll ni student. So, bakit kailangan natin itong dalawang ito na input dito sa process na to? Because this will become an output para alam ni student kung ano ang pwede niyang i-enroll na subjects based dun sa course niya. Okay? So, once na nakapili na si student ng mga subjects or nakapili na siya ng course niya kapag first year siya, okay, provide niya ulit yung student information niya, yung course na napili niya, and the subjects na gusto niyang i-enroll. Dadaan ulit yun sa isang process. Sabihin natin siyang process admission. Magpapa-admit na siya. Hospital. So, this information will be updated on the student database. So, ngayon, masisave na yung bago mong information dun sa database mo. Then next, from the student database, pupunta ulit siya dun sa my process admission to provide an assessment kay student. Okay? On this part, nabigyan na ng assessment form si student. Then, aside from that, kung meron na assessment si student, ibig sabihin enrolled na siya. So, aside from that, mabibigyan din ng list of enrollees si registrar. But before maibigay yung list of enrollees kay registrar, of course, dadaan yun sa isang process. Sabihin na lang nating manage enrollees. And tsaka mabibigay yun as output kay registrar. So, that's it guys. Yun po yung example natin ng Student Enrollment System Level 1 DFD. If this video helps you, don't forget to give a like. And kung gusto mo pang matuto about computer programming and other computer stuff, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more tutorial videos. Bye!